perhaps summary of what we have been learning from Oyimafu for some weeks now. So in our today's encounter, we are going to be doing like a summary of what basically you've been taught. So it's not going to be something absolutely new. And um, so, but for those who do not really know me, my name is Joseph Afeso. I've been a member of this community, and we have been together since last year at least. So, and we went through the first set of trainings last year, and to this year again. I'm happy that this is the first time I'm picking up the microphone to walk us through the Microsoft Entra ID. So I just want to share my screen really quick, and we can have our conversation from there. And I can hear that some sounds are coming out from our microphones. I really encourage us to just check your microphone or check our microphones and be sure that they are muted. Even if you were sure that your mic was muted, you may just want to check again. So I'm just going to share my screen now. Okay, I'm just going to share my entire screen and do this. Okay, just in case I have a video to play. So yes, I guess my screen is now visible, or maybe just in a bit of second. It should be visible to everyone. So basically, I have a screen, just one screen today. So I may not be able to see your charts when I I am on another window. So you may just hold on. I'll pop into that browser from time to time just to make sure that I get your questions cascaded to this other side. Or if you drop on the chat, if it sounds urgent, Oyimafu, you can quickly call my attention to it. So already I think in this house, we are already used to cmd.ms. So the Microsoft command, what's it called, cmd.ms. So if you do cmd.ms, it's the Microsoft Cloud command line, right? So looking at summary of like everything that we may want to learn is just basically going to be from here. So you have if you want to, let's say, go to all portals, you're just going to use this. So you can filter. So because this is actually a very long list. From my end, I try to expand it and scroll down, like it's a lot, right? So it's actually like a lot of commands, right? So, but how do you look for what speaks to you at an instant in time? You can filter. So by your left-hand side here, you have the Azure. So if you come to Azure, all you're going to have is Azure, right? So just in case you want to go to SQL servers, you want to go to storage accounts or disk. So this will just take you to Azure and take you to the service that you want to go to directly. So if it's the preview portal, the Sentinel, then if it is Entra, so this is going to be all around Entra. So if you want to go to groups directly, you can use this link, the inc engroup.cmd.ms, or just clicking on this. Then if you want to go to users directly, you can just click on users. For devices, you can just go straight. So ADFS, legacy, ML. Hello, hello.
Oh, yeah, yes, I can hear
We
you.
can
Although
hear
we're
you.
not hearing you for a moment, but I can hear you now.
Okay, okay. I think my laptop is freezing, so maybe it needs a restart. So I will just looking at this, right? I was looking at filtering these services. So I will just come back to home of it. So you can really just go to Defender. If you want Defender related commands to just come on, the Hunting, Action Center, Explorer, Restricted, and entities for GCC High, Tenant, Investigation. So this is speaking to Defender. Then if you want to go to Intune as well, so you can have this just come in there, device enrollment, configuration profile. So if you just want to jump into those centers, and if what you are looking for is just M365, you can just come here, jump into Exchange Admin Center to SharePoint Admin to Teams without having to go through the convolutions of other, portal, going to home and then going to show all and all of those things. So also you can filter from, so if I come back home, right, you can also filter from here. This is all services, all Microsoft products. You can come here and do Intune, and then everything will just be Intune. And then that means that if you want to go to devices, you just click on here. So what this is going to do is to take you right to devices in the Intune Admin Center when it eventually loads up without you having to go through other means of other means, right? You can look at this. It's just right at Intune Admin Center and it's taking you straight to devices without you having to go through maybe the M365 Admin Center, clicking on Show All, going to Intune. So it will just take you straight to that place. So if you also want to go to apps in Intune, you can just click on that. Security straight, you can just go, right? So if you want to filter to maybe Defender, you can just do that, or you can even search for a particular command of interest. So, but that's not our focal point today. Our focal point is on Entra, right? So it means that if I want to go to enterprise application in Entra, I'll just click on this, and then it is taking me straight right into that admin center, and then it's taking me to that particular destination on app registration or enterprise application preview straight up without having to go through any convolutions, right? So it is it is really very interesting for you to know how to use this Microsoft Cloud command line. It's going to save you like a lot of stress, honestly. So that said, I'll just try to close out on a lot of things on my screen just so I don't cause a bit of confusion. So our concentration today is going to be on Microsoft Entra really. So we would come here by clicking on the very first link. Maybe I'll just close out all this also. Close this out so that we can have one that we want to focus on. So Entra, like we have been told, is an identity, Microsoft Cloud identity solution, right? So this identity can cut across users, can cut across groups, can cut across devices, right, in your environment. So if you come to your environment, the first thing you would have at the top here is the Microsoft Entra Admin Center, and then here is the name of your organization. I think the tenant we used for all the demos was Precise Global, right? So, but for the one that you've come to see today is Pillars Cloud Technologies Limited. So if I go to another tenant now, you're going to see a different name altogether here. So basically here is where you get the name of the tenants, of the organization that you are looking at. So there can be like some flashcards here that's just telling you about secure access for connected world. So you can protect any identity and secure access to any resources with a family multi-cloud identity. And so this is just like more like flashcards for you to know, like they're very um, important information that you may just want to, as an administrator, know about. So if you scroll down, you'll see more. You see learn about Microsoft Entra, so you can explore to view all products. You can read documentation. So learn how unified multi-cloud identity and network access help to protect and verify identity and all of that. So billing, 5 purchase license and 0 subscription. So we are making it easier to everyone to view all alerts and all of those. So these are just going to be basic information that you may be needing as an organization or as an administrator. So right inside here is the quick navigation, right? So tenant overview. So tenant overview is also here, right? Just here. Then all users is also here, right? But this is just a way of shortcuts, right? Just to make it handy for you to just quickly dive into it. All groups, of course, is just here, but you just need 1 or 2 extra clicks. So this is just trying to save your clicks by showing you all groups. Then all devices as well. If you come down here, you also see all devices. Then sign-in logs, of course, you can also see sign-in logs if you go to check for it. But enterprise application, of course, you're going to see it under applications, right? So these are just ways of trying to make you as an administrator just quickly have navigations to where or what you want to do. Then top recommended actions. Your identity secure score is not available. So this basically, like I'm trying to say, are just those piece of information that could become handy to you as you get by on your tenant. So um, I will just take this up here. I can hear noise from somewhere. Please try to mute your microphone. So talking about that, we're just in home perhaps, and we've seen all that is there. The next is your favorite. So if you bookmark anything, it's just going to be found there. Then so the next point that is very important is the overview. So for the overview pan, again, you are going to learn a lot about your organization. One very important thing that will come handy to you when you look at this is the name of your organization again, and then from here you'll be able to know um, also the tenant ID. So this is like a globally unique ID for your tenant, and then the primary domain of your environment also. You will know it here, pillarscloud.com.ng. Then what license am I operating on? I'm operating on the Microsoft Entra ID Premium Plan 2 license. And then as we speak, I have 52 users in this tenant. So I have 33 groups, I have 6 applications, and I have 22 devices, right? So this is just again information to say there is going to be MS Online PowerShell retirement. Please you should migrate all. This is just like updates, like warning or alert to you on this dashboard to know that you have to migrate converged authentication method policy, and then coming here to look at me that is signed in. So if I want to, I'm the one signed in my feed. This is my GUID, and then this is my role is global administrator, and then it's just showing me my this is also not available here, just as we saw in the other one. So Microsoft Entra Connect, because I am syncing users from on-premises to the cloud. So this is telling me that my last sync was less than an hour ago and it is checked green and enabled. So I can track the status of my synchronization, the handshake between the on-premises and the cloud by looking at this card here. And then the feature highlights is view risky users. So yesterday we also looked at risky users, build consumer app, and all these are just details that we want to look at. So the Entra ID domain service, and then the tenant restrictions, conditional access that we looked at yesterday, and then all of this. So from here, instead of going through other routes, you can just quickly click on add user, you can add group, you can add an application, and then you can add app registration right away from here without going through other routes. And that is under overview. Okay, so the next point you have there in the Entra Admin Center is users. So before now, you could create user from Entra and license the user here. But now you can no longer license a user from the Entra Admin Center. you can only create user here, but if it comes to licensing that user, you would have to go to the M365 admin center, or you use PowerShell to assign license to that user or to those group of users. So if you come to all users really here, you would have lots of options. So if you look at this place here, you will see all users, right? You will see audit logs, you see sign-in logs, you see diagnose and solve problems, deleted users pan, and then you see password resets, and then you see user settings, bulk operation results, and then new service request. So basically, all users again is taking you here, which is where you can create user, right? Where you can edit, preview, then delete user if you have selected user, download the list of your users, and then if you want to carry out bulk operations, and you can even click on here, depend on what's there, depend on how big your screen is. Like my screen is a bit small, so I will have this option here to click here to see manage view, then um, per user MFA, and then like that. So now the point is to start with this very first one. Here, if you click on this, there's a drop down. So if you click on top of it, or you click on the drop down here, you have two options. So for the two options you have here, the first option is for you to create new user. So when you hear the word create new, and it's going to be like internal user in your organization. So, and then you also see invite external user. So for create is for you to like onboard a new user to your tenant, while to invite is to um, invite somebody who is not in your environment, but to come in as an external user to collaborate with your organization. And once this person comes in, then the person becomes a guest user. And the reason why this is a guest user is because the user has a presence in your environment. And when you do that, this is how the email address of that user is going to be like. Like this is Abiodun Shegun 7 underscore gmail.com ext at mydomain.com, right? Because at this point, this person is using at gmail.com, and then I'm inviting him to M365 tenants. So he comes in where he used to have at has been turned to underscore. And then if you look at this place, this ext is what actually distinguishes this user from this user. This user is just bearing my domain directly. So why this user also is bearing my domain directly. But how you would differentiate between an internal user and a guest user is in how the name appears, right? And the fact that you are seeing this ext. It's not just that, yeah, if you look at this one, this is an example I want to make. This user is from tsc3.omicrosoft.com, right? And then is invited to MVP benefit.omicrosoft.com. So it's not just only Gmails that you can invite as guest users. So it is practicable to invite other organizations to collaborate with yours on certain projects, and this becomes important. All right. So having said that, if you check very well, people find it difficult to differentiate between external user and guest users. So for external users are in their own environments. They don't have any presence in your own tenants. But guest users would have to be invited, and they have to accept the invitation. At that point, when they want to access the applications in your environment, they would have to switch to the guest account to have access to that environment. So M365 guest users. Now I will just say what M365, what M365 guest users can do. I know a particular link, and it's a table that will show us like a lot of difference. Let me open this and see if it's going to be the link. I just have a link that is a tabular in a tabular form. That link has been super helpful to me. No, it is not this one. I'm sure it's not this. has been super useful to me when it comes to clarifying what a user or a guest can do. Let me just open that and see. If I'm not laying my hands on it on time, I will just use pins to demonstrate what I mean, and then we can move on. Let me check this one. No, it's not really this one. I think it's not really this one. So I'm not sure why that link is hiding. But basically, there are some things that guests can do. And what is obvious there is if you have a guest user account, right? If you have a guest user account and you are chatting that account in Teams, right? The user will not be able you'll not be able to share files with external users, right? So, but for guest users, you can actually um, share files with them. Dependent on the permission levels you are setting from the sharing policies on from your SharePoint sites. I mean, from your SharePoint settings. Difference between um, users and guests. I mean, external users and guests. I'll just give it a try again. External users and guests. Microsoft Doc. Let me see. So if I see that document, honestly, I will just know it, right? So let me just open a few of them and see if I'm able to. There's not a Q&A link. Um, Let me just open this few if I'm able to see. But that link used to be like one of those very handy ones. Yeah, this is it. So if you look at it, compare external and guest access. So for chats, you can actually chat with both, but your organization has to allow what is called federation with external users. But one very important point I must share here is this one. So if you have external user, the fact that you could put my email address, depending on the federation settings in my tenants, and I can chat with external user, yes, it's going to happen that you'll be able to chat with me, but you see the option to upload file, you will not be able to see it for external user, but you'll be able to see it for a guest user. And then there are a few also that external user, for example, see the out of office message for someone in another organization. It's not possible for external, but it's actually possible for guests. So there are a few things that you want to check. Access Teams resources for external is no, while for guest is here. So I'm just trying to mention that like there are a lot of things. View the phone number of or for dial in meeting participants is no, and then this is yes. So also use meet now. So meet now option from Teams is not possible when you have external user, but you can. So meet now is actually called ad hoc meetings. So when we get to Teams, actually, the person treating Teams would definitely touch on meet now. So it is no for it is yes for guests and it is no for external users. So like there are a lot of things also that you want to check out when it comes to the differences between external and guest users. So that's why this is important that we mention that we should be able to know the differences between when we say inviting people. So when you invite somebody and he accept that invitation, he is no longer a guest. I mean, he's no longer an external user, but now a guest. And that's why when you go to Teams, you can easily search for that person and add that user to Teams. So I will open one of the um so this is me, the same person, but from different organization, right? Based on the fact that I have access to other tenants that I use for trial. So I was able to send an invite from one organization to the other. So if you actually come into the external, I mean the invited guests, you would see the status of those invitation. So it can be um, pending redemption, or it can be yes, invitation accepted. I'm not sure why this guy is trying to be slow. I will just do I just do a refresh? I will just close this out. So if that is taking our time, I'm just going to do a refresh from here first, and then let me just quickly open it again. Okay, so the point I'm trying to show you is the account status is enabled, right? And then this guy last activity signing is this, but that's not my point. My focal point is here, invitation state accepted. So once this guy's invitation is accepted, I now have him here. And if I don't want him to, if anything is happening and I don't want him to access my resources anymore, I can manage him to an extent. I can add, a lot of things to him, the job description, but these ones are not possible with external users, right? Because they don't even have presence in my environment. So if you are trying to differentiate between external and guest users, at least you can see all this management that I can do for a guest user. I can even try to revoke sessions for a guest user. I can reset password. So what is even shocking to me is that you could even assign role um to guest users. So, but we're not bouncing like into this. I'm just trying to show you so that when you click here and you see invite external user, so know that once this user who is an external user accepts your invitation, then the user will no longer be an external, but can you see the user type, right? They are now guest users in your environment. While the users that are full-fledged users in your environment, bearing just your domain only without the ext in their email address, are referred to as members of the organization. And really, there is big difference between members and guests, because when you are filtering and setting permission, you can really deal with a lot, as it has to do with creating internal user and then talking about guest user access as well. So I'm sure that creating user is no longer something new to us. We have done a lot. But one thing I want to mention here is that when you work in an organization, and so experiences that I've had would demand that you send the user reports, the list of the user reports to your manager on a monthly, maybe on a monthly basis because of audits, and see how things are going. So how you do that is when you come here now, you can just hit on this download, and then this is going to download a CSV file, and you can just really click on start download, and this will just get a list of user, and there are a lot of properties. Even though from Entra, you will not really track like the licensing that are there, right? But there are a lot of other details that you can really gather from here, and it is in progress now. So how you do it is click here to view the status. So I think now the file is ready. So how we do that is we can click here to download again, right? So but if we come here now, I'm thinking that file is ready. Let's click, and okay, so what happened at that point? It processed it, and now the second stage was when it actually downloaded the file. So I just want us to look at it because this is important as well. Don't convert. So I will just click on here at my corner here, and then I can double click on it just to expand it. So you can see the UPN. There are external users here, I mean, which are now the guest user, right? So when we are saying external user, we should understand that. So the display name also, they are going to be here. Apart from that, a display name, their email addresses, which also their UPN, and then the given name, then the user ID, the type, the usage location, you're also going to have it there. And then it now depends on your filter. For example, if you are filtering, I'm not going to teach Excel anyway, but if you are filtering this, of course, you now know that if you are looking for users that are just in AQ only, of course, you can just click on here and it's just one user, right? So let's say this is only user, or you are trying to look for users that are in AQ, or you are looking for users that are in Nigeria, right? So you can really do this, and then you can see that, okay, this only these are Nigeria users. If you're looking for those users who are in Nigeria and their accounts enable is true, that you are looking for people who are in Nigeria whose accounts are enabled, so you can further filter, right, to give you fewer people. So you can say, okay, this is the list of the users in our environment as of today that are active. The reason I'm saying this is because when it comes to ISO 27001, all those compliance regulation and all of those, sometimes they want to track auditing and they want to know if you're actually keeping like a record of the list of your active or activities in your M35 tenants. So this there can be requirement for you to always have this as reports to disseminate or perhaps share with your boss or as the case may be. So for bulk operation there are two. Mainly you can have bulk creates, bulk invites, and bulk deletes, right? So the create and invite is almost the same thing in the sense that for bulk create is you are creating multiple users. For bulk invite is that you are inviting multiple users. It's more of create also, right? And then bulk delete is if you want to delete like a number of users at a go, right? So that is for so that is for creating users, right? And then one very key point that I must have to mention here is that while deleting users from the M365 admin center, you would only be able to do what is called soft delete. So in user deletion is of two stages. One stage is soft delete and the second stage is hard delete. So I'll just quickly use Paint to describe this, which I'm sure that we've learned this already, but just trying to make sense of something. If you have M365 here, M365 admin center, and then you have the Entra admin center here. I'm just going to draw the same diagram and perhaps just make it red color. And then I'm coming here to say this is my Entra admin center. Entra admin center. So if you delete user, if you have this user here, and then you have this user, you have another user here. Now, if you delete this account, what happens is that this account, this is the deleted folder, right? This is the deleted folder, the same deleted folder, not that there are two, it's just one, right? Or deleted user, I would say. Now, if you delete a user, the user will go into what is called soft delete mode. The user comes here, right, and stays inside here. Ideally, this guy is supposed to stay there for 30 days, right? Now, if you do that from here as well, the guy will stay here for 30 days normally. So he's supposed to stay here for 30 days, right? 30 days, and then he's supposed to also stay here for 30 days. 30 days. So the reason why it is here is because just so you decided to change your mind within the 30 days. And this stage of deletion is called soft delete. Soft delete. So for the both of them, right? Soft delete. Now, for you to so after this stage, right, the user would disappear from the environment, right? At this point where it just disappear away and then just get out into the thin air, that point is called hard delete. Okay, hard delete. Now, the point I want you to look at here is that this user would have to, from the M365 admin center, the user must stay here for 30 days before it moves here. But within that 30 days, you have the option to revert the user back to the tenant. And that is what is called restore, right? So you can restore, really, you can restore the user back to his state. Maybe there was a mistake or there was a change of mind, right? There can be any condition. Maybe a user was deleted and is resuming again. Of course, within a period, you may just want some, maybe something, right? But the point is that from the Entra admin center, within now, you can wait, leave it, the account will get deleted in 30 days, right? But if you want to also get the account out of the environment, like right about now, to manually hard delete. So I'll call that manually hard delete. Manually hard delete. Then I want to do it here also. I just want to put something here, manually hard delete. It is possible for you to manually hard delete from the Entra admin center, but it is not possible for you to manually hard delete from the M365 admin center. You can restore from here also. Restore option is possible from Entra. Permanent delete is also possible, but this one, permanent delete, is not possible. So you can only restore, you can't permanently delete. So this is a very critical difference between user deletion from Entra and user deletion from the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. And this is something that is really very helpful to me when I explain this to people. So now I want to open the M365 Admin Center, right? And I also want to have the I also want to have the, what's it called? The Entra admin center open. So if I come to all users, right, active users, and I am coming here to get bulk 2 deleted, bulk 2, take note just in case I have other bulk users there. So I'm just going to do delete, right? And then bulk 2 is going, and then the guy is gone. Now, where is he? Is in deleted users. Now, from here is going to be in soft delete for this period of days, right? Bulk 2 supposed to be here by now. Bulk 2, yeah, that is the guy. I saw him just now. Yeah, this is the guy. So now if I click on this, right, and then I say I want to delete permanently, like what I told you, if you come back to this place, excuse me, that's not even my, I was using pins, not that one. So if you look at it now, oh shit, I have a lot. So if you look at it now, I cannot permanently delete, right? But I can restore. So that restore button is just the button that you have here. Now, when I click on that, the only option here is restore. Okay. Now, restore option is here. But if you come to the Entra Admin Center, now you go to deleted users, right? If you go to deleted user, you're going to find bulk 2 there. But I will have two options, to delete permanently or to restore. So at this point, you will find out that, why am I always clicking that stuff? So at this point, you would find out that I have the two options, right? So if that guy is trying to disappear, I'll just leave him and then we can continue. Okay, I'll catch him now. So you can see that I have two options. One is this one, right? Second is this manually hard delete. So once I do this one here, it will warn me all data for these users will be irrevocably. You see the word irrevocably. That means that if I delete this guy, the guy is gone forever, and all the data associated to the account is equally gone. So that is talking about user deletion, right? So we're just under all users. Now, if you also look at it, there is audit log. So for audit log, what this does is it gives you like the activities that have been happening in your environment. Now, like the one I just did now, around 8:48 is here. That user I deleted the user, it was successful. So what's happening here is that everything I've been doing in my environment for this number of days have been here. So if I come to filter, really I can decide to put user agent. I can do like target, or can do like targets that I want to, or the status, whether it is success or failure. Now, if you look at what is here, I can decide to look at the duration I want to target. I don't know if it is 60 or 90, 30 or 90, but let's see. Let's say I want to do, this is March. Let me just flip backward. How many months backward can I go? But you can see that they are not already active, right? So if I come here, I can get to 7th of February. That means it's 1 month. So the value must be between, look at it, February 7th, and what again? And March 9th. So that means that I don't need a prophet to tell me now that the audit log can capture only up to 30 days. And then what I will do is, that was just all I wanted to show us, right? The number of days. And myself, I was not so very sure anymore, but you can target 1 month only. So if this is what I want, then I can look at it from here and I can expand to see more features about that. So categories, user management, services. If I want to put it to say invite user, right? I can do okay and see within that period of time how many users were invited and was it successful, invited external user. So if I want to download, if I download now, it is this report that I will have in my CSV file, not like every other thing, right? So that is a service around invite users. So if I am going to self-service group management or self-service password management, I'm not sure I've done this in the last 30 days. So I would expect, oh, I did that. I did a lot on this. So okay, I think changing password too is captured under that. That's why you're seeing these things coming up, because I didn't really understand what that was. So if you look at it, so if I also have done B2B authentication, I'm expecting this to return nothing. It's also bringing something. Okay, redeem, yes, because sending out invites to people and they're accepting those invitations are actually B2B collaboration. And that explains why it is that. And then who was a person that it was sent to and who initiated the invite? Can you see? So who initiated the invite? Who was the invite sent to? You can actually just, maybe you are trying to capture detail again on, let me see. If I want to say invited guest, I want to just see third guest on, let's say, B2B collab, right? So if I click on download, let me see if that's the name that the file is going to be. I think that's where you fix the name, right? So you can, I learned that just now, so that's why it's good to sometimes hop on the mic and you want to teach. So you actually learn better when you want to give out. So you can see that I have these reports only of the invitation I've sent out, and the date range also is going to speak to 2025 February 23, and then to like that, right? And the timing, all of them are there. And then if you want to dig right deeper, you can see that the display name, the UPN is there, then the object ID and other details that may be of interest to you that you may want to look at, right? So this is the target UPN. All of them, can you see they're carrying EXT? So if you see EXT now, I'm sure that you are not going to be demanding any explanation from people. Then who sends the invite? Who was the actor? So the people who carry out the act are the actor. So myself, then and this guy, and then this guy, they are the actors of those events, right? So you can actually do a lot with audit log, but note that audit log is capturing just 30 days. So if you want like all the services, then you can just click on this and then you click on this and then you will see a lot, and as well as their status. So signing logs is very important. See, in short, signing log is one of those things that is one of those reports that is very important for, especially for security guys, right? So you can check the signing log of particular user, right? Let's say an account was compromised. So without even going into like the detail of signing log of other users, I know that, for example, myself, if I quickly see that account, um, so I know that this account, for example, I'm signing in here every day, right? So I can decide to check my sign-in logs. So this particular sign-in logs now is only going to be my account, right? It will tell a lot of things, so like a lot of information will be said here. This is the last 24 hours, right? You can decide to put it at the last 1 month, and I will apply this. So this will drop down all my sign-ins for the month, right? Whether they were successful, and then if I even want to investigate a particular signing, let's say there was an issue of investigation of a compromised account, and that compromise happened at this time, I can come here and it was this particular signing, I can come there and look at it. What date was the signing? It was, so the dating method is months, day, and year. So on the 9th of March, and then the request ID, the correlation ID, it was a single factor authentication, which is bad. I don't have MFA set up on that account. Then the status was successful, continuous access evaluation was no, additional detail, MFA requirement satisfaction by claim token. Then you can look through and see that the user ID is this, and then you can see the application. That was the application ID, the resources we're trying to look at, the browser I was using, what it was using, the client app, it was a browser, and then all of that. You can see these details. You can even dive deeper to see the location where this person was signing. It was in Nigeria, and what IP address it was signing at. This IP address. You can even go as far as the device that the guy was using to know that, okay, the guy was signing on the Chrome 133.0.0, and then the operating system he was signing in from was the Windows 10. Then compliance, the device was not a compliant device. The reason why it's not a compliant device is because I have a settings that say that Windows Defender firewall must be turned on for machines that will mark as compliant, and that's one of the reasons I mentioned that I locked myself out yesterday. So authentication details, you can also look at it. So conditional access, if there are capped that way, you can also look through them. And then report only, you can look at the conditional access on report only environment. So you can actually go as far as digging deep into my login, my own signing as as an entity user, right? But this particular one on all users signing here would actually not concentrate only on my account. You can see that on-prem director people also signing in on-prem directory. I don't see, like, what is this actually targeting? So I'm supposed to be having like for multiple users if I check, but I think it's yeah, I was going to say that because if you look at this, you can see Labrat is also signing in. It's targeting Joseph signing. So if I click, the reason you've been seeing Joseph because I am almost like the only active user. So you can see Paul's also signing in here. So this is how, for example, you want to filter the locations at which your users are signing in. So the good thing is that you can decide to download also in CSV file. So this is for everyone, right? You can just hit on download, and then you also investigate how that is. Maybe you can filter users that are signing in from the US, users that are signing. It depends on what you're looking for, right? So we've looked at, so diagnose and solve problem is more like this is where you would have raised requests, right? But there are ways to truly solve issues. I don't know if this is going to target that, or it's just going to be focusing on Azure Active Directory kind of queries, but really this is where you can, if you know the issues you want to troubleshoot from here, you can do that. I do this often from, because it's easier for me here. Honestly, I don't go there to do it. It's easier for me to do it from the support here from M365. Let's say OneDrive not syncing, right? This place actually captures a lot of issues that you want to look at. Can't access OneDrive. Maybe, for example, you can diagnose issues, right? And it can help you to suggest. And then also, let's say the iPad. Hope I know how to spell the iPad missing from team. And you can give it a space. The iPad missing from team. So what this will do is it will request me to input the UPN, the email address of the affected user, and then you can run a test against that user account, and it can suggest to you what you need to do. So that is similar thing that is here also, right? But these are speaking to managing access roles and all of those ones. So, but you can raise support requests by coming into this place, give your issue description. Then if you use that, so this actually is Azure kind of tickets, right? Different from these other parts. When you come to M365 Admin Center, this actually is speaking and it's behaving like you are raising a ticket from Azure. So, but if you want to raise ticket from M365 services, I would advise you do it from the M365 Admin Center. So, Of course, deleted users, we've looked at that already. Then password resets. There are some things I will again tell you something that you should take note of here. Now, if you have a user, right? If you have a user in your environment whose account is in the disabled state, you cannot change the password of that user from the Entra admin center. I'm just saying this because I'm just looking at something around password reset, even though it's not speaking to what I want to truly show us now, but there's need for me to come back here and show you something. If this bulk 3, right, if I come here now, okay, the account good 18 is even disabled already. Now bulk 3, if I come to reset password of bulk 3, it will not work. So unfortunately, you cannot reset the user's password because you do not have sufficient permission, and it's not true. I have global admin rule, or which is the correct one, account is disabled. But if I come here to bulk 3, right, and I'm looking for bulk 3 under active users, if I come here to bulk 3, yeah, this is the guy. The account is disabled, quite okay, but I will be able to reset the password of this user from here and it will work. Okay, if I do automatic, no, I don't want you to know the password of this user. So I will do this. So now I can reset the password here and it's successful, right? So, but why can't I do it from the Entra admin center? Because from Entra admin center, by the design, you cannot reset the password of a disabled user. So that's important that we mention it. So the next point is password reset, but the place this password reset is taking me to SSPR under properties, which we did yesterday. So for SSPR, self-service password resets, you can allow users to, it's not supposed to jump me to this point, like I've not gotten here honestly, but just to quickly mention, you can say that I can hear some kind of hitchy sound. Please check your microphone. um Mr. Osas, you are the one. Oh. Please, let's keep our mic muted. So the point is that this point, you can have like a group of users that you want them to be able to reset their password or reset password by themselves without reaching out to the admin. The point is that this is very useful. The life of um, most IT admins is to reset password. So even if you do this that we're talking about, users will still come back eventually and ask you that they've forgotten their password. That thing that you said they should do that, they can no longer remember, but at least they're smart ones. Or followed up with some videos that you can also do like jingles in your organization, putting them on maybe communication SharePoint sites to for them to be able to know how to reset all those password stuff. You can actually do that by just pushing to everybody that they should be able to reset their password. However, the authentication method, right? So I'll just click on, you must save, right? So before you go on, before they register for SSPR, you must come to authentication methods, right? So if you come to authentication method now, how many methods are required, right? You can put it at 1, you can put it at 2. Now, if you are putting it at 2, how many questions are you setting? I'm sure we did this yesterday. How many questions are we setting? If we are setting 5 questions, for example, now, how many must the user pass out of the 5 before they can successfully reset their password? If you have 3 and you say they must answer the 3 questions correctly, right? But just know that um, administrators, that security questions are not permitted for administrators, especially the high. I may be speaking on that correction now, but especially the high, kind of administrators. I don't know. Maybe password admin somehow may just be allowed to use security questions. But for admins like the global admin, exchange admin, SharePoint admin, these security question things will not work for them. So it's not even supported, right? So in what city was your father born? You can, so when they are enrolling, they can go as far as providing answers for these ones. And then you can also customize your questions. When was Pillars concepts registered? So all those questions, you can also bring them up and just to, you know, you can create, that's what I'm trying to say, create questions that they can use. Now, you can also come back to registration and just look at, I needed to save, right? So maybe just click on save and then you can come down to registration. But where I have jumped to really is, so number of days before users are asked to reconfirm the authentication method. So I remember when I was resuming in January, people were reaching out to me, hey, that they have like a request on the screen. They were signing in, their signing were correct, and then it was saying that revalidate that this is you by confirming that the information provided on the screen are still correct. So you are validating maybe your phone numbers, you are validating your authentication methods, and then maybe all those security questions, they can also be there just so you can know how to go about it. So this is actually still very fresh in our minds, and especially the fact that it was like practically explained yesterday and we know all around this. It's just for us to have like a recap. So, and there was like a very big jump because of where this took me to from users. So I don't intend to confuse anybody just in case I was too forward by jumping into. So user settings as well is just after the password reset that is here. So user setting is very key, and this is where I would say security measure come in, right? As an organization, users can register apps. So if you want an ordinary user, I say ordinary user in the sense and a non-administrator user to be able to register application in your environment, you can just check this, or you can say nope. You can restrict user admin from creating tenants. Of course, this is or within your tenants, you can just keep creating within your subscription from maybe Azure, you can start creating tenants, right? So you want to restrict the tenant creation, and then user can create security group. If you want them to be able to create security group, you can allow. So looking at this, right? If you look at this info, indicate whether the default user, I think that's the right word for ordinary user that I meant, default user can create security group. So for this, it's yes, restrict, yes, as in quote, restrict the creation of Microsoft Entra ID tenants to the global administrator or tenant creator rule. So no, allow non-administrator to create Microsoft Entra tenants, right? Anyone who creates a tenant will become the global administrator. Of course, we know that already. But these are common settings that would always be like this by default. So register application would by default be yes. Of course, if you don't want, it can be no. But this is usually off by default, and user can create security group is on by default. So, but you can decide to say no. So guest user, this place is very important, and I'm sure that we understand clearly the difference between guest and external user and members now. So for guests, it's not wise for anyone to say guest users have the same access as members, so most inclusive. So the point is that as you go down the line, the level of restriction is increasing, right? So guest users have limited access to properties and members of the directory, which is fine. They should have like restricted or limited access to resources, especially when you are now setting permissions from the um, SharePoint admin center. So guest users access is restricted to properties and the membership of their own directory objects, most restrictive. So if that suits you, but I'm sure that this is flexible enough for administrators. So now look at it. So if normally users would not have default users will not have access to Entra ID, correct? But I mean, we not have access to M35 admin center. You can have situation like users will not have access to the M35 admin center because they are not administrator, yet they can have access to your Entra ID even if they are not administrator user. They will not be able to make any changes, but they'll be able to see all the users. They will just be like global reader rule where they can see like everything. So if you want to restrict access, you can turn this off. Before I turn this on, it was off by default. I turned this on myself when I wanted to restrict people. So use this switch to prevent users from misconfiguring the resources they own from the Microsoft Entra admin center, so that maybe if they are owners of group, I've not tested, if they are owners of groups, it means that when they come to the Entra admin center as non-administrator, they may be able to reconfigure those groups. Maybe something like that is what Microsoft is saying, because I know that they have access to that and they were not going to be able to do anything. But if Microsoft is telling us that you use this to switch to prevent users from misconfiguring the resources that they own, right, from the Microsoft Entra Admin Center. So if you do this, this is not a security measure. No, let non-administrator browser or browse the Microsoft Entra Admin Center. Yes, will mean that you are restricting them, that non-admin cannot access the Entra Admin Center. So non-administrator who are owners of groups or application from using the Microsoft Entra Admin Center to manage their own resources, and that speaks to what I was trying to say. So for example, if they were in group or they have application, they should not be able to manipulate it from the Entra Admin Center because they were given access to the Entra Admin Center. So having mentioned that, right? So if you are if you in short, this is recommended to be turned to yes, block them, but by default I don't know why it will be left at no, honestly. So I think that will be the major thing that I hear, to allow users to connect their work or school with their LinkedIn accounts, and then show keep users sign in, and then all of that. So manage external collaboration settings. So it's just to see who can. I think we're going to see that later. So that's for user setting. We've done deleted user. So for groups, right? So overview of groups. This group is just going to be doing a lot. So group, when you create group from the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, right? The group, we have types of groups. We have the Teams group. We have the security group. We have the mail enabled security group. We have distribution list, right? So from here, you will really see that you have under teams and group, M365 group, um, you have add team, which is like team, right? Then add M365 group, which is a collaboration group without the presence of teams, right? Then for distribution list is like so the way I look at this is like a broadcast. It's like a broadcast list, right? And it's easier to explain it that way. I'm looking for my paint guy. I'm not getting it. I I have paint open too many times, but let me just do that once more. So for distribution list, where's this guy hiding? For distribution list, it's just like you have people, you have users in your environment, right? You have users in your environment, and then you have HR want to send email to these people. So you can just do HR at pillarsconcepts.com. So when they send an email to this email address, right, that email gets distributed to the members. What's happening to the member? All of them, just that one email gets distributed to all of them. That's what the distribution list is. Why you have a group that is M365 group, right, that has no teams, is just a group. There's no presence in teams. So you also have a type of group that is group that is M365 group, and then it has teams presence. Now I must make a comment here. All teams group are M365 groups, but not all M365 groups are teams enabled. That means if you create a team, you have created an M365 group. But the fact that you're creating an M365 group does not mean that you are creating a team, because a team um, will be present in teams. So sorry for me to sound teams. But now, apart from these two groups, you also have in the M35 admin center, you also have what is called security group. And security group, you also have mail enabled security group, right, from the M35 admin center. So if you create a security, what is a security group as a matter of fact? A security group is actually so for M35 groups, they are for collaboration, really. M35 group or Teams group, they are for collaboration, right? Then for security group, they are for permissions. They are to grant permission. So maybe applications to SharePoint sites, and like that, to resources, basically, right? So that is what a security group is doing. Now, why creating the M35 group, the Teams group, they are going to have like a group mailbox for all the members to have access to mails that the email address of the group is going to house. So normally, security group does not have that feature of that mailbox. So, but if you want a security group that has that feature of mailbox, then you must truly be looking for um, a mail-enabled security group. Now, without wasting time to explain all those, I will just quickly now come to explain that if you are creating a security group from here, you have the option to create security group and security group. Add a mail enabled security group. Okay. If you go to Exchange, right? If you go to Exchange, you would also see something, Exchange here. You would also see that same feature, but I will tell you something real quick. If you are creating that group from Exchange, it will also cascade to the other admin centers if you come to groups. Okay. But the point is that if you are adding a group, you will have option. The recommended group is M35 group. You have distribution, which is a distribution list that I just showed. Then you have a mail enabled security group. So it means that you can create mail enabled security group from both Exchange Admin Center and the M35 Admin Center. But the dynamic distribution list, it is only in Exchange Admin Center that you have option to create it from Portal, right? So it is only here in this portal when you talk about the GUI, right? I don't know about PowerShell for now. I can't really speak to that for a fact. But for Admin Center, it's the dynamic distribution list is only available here. Of course, we know what dynamics are. Like you don't manually add users, they just pick up based on attributes. Now, the point I'm trying to raise is that you can create a mail-enabled security group from Exchange. You can create mail-enabled security group from M365 Admin Center. But if you are creating a group from the Entra Admin Center, the default is a security group. That is a security group that is not mail-enabled. That's the point I'm trying to raise. The security group that is not mail enabled, which is not the same thing as this one that you can create in Exchange, but that same security group that you can create from the M365 admin center, right? You can create it from here. If I click on new now, the group that is going to come by default is a security group. And I have the option to change it to an M365 group. And then again, if the group must become it, if I want to use the group to become like a team's group, then I have to select the M365 group. Now, the point is that even if I leave it as a security group, I give it a name. I just call it Nigeria. I just call it M365. There's no point to stress that. Then group description, there's no need. Am I giving it a role? I'm not giving it a role. So note that here I can turn it to dynamic user or dynamic device because it is a security group. Look at something. If I change it to M35 group, that dynamic device, and I come to say I want to make it a dynamic, it's not show me dynamic device. It can only tell me dynamic user. That's the first point I want you to take note of in terms of security group, because it can be a device, right? I can do dynamic device. Like you can say all Android device should be in the group. I created such a group. I think I can show you, but let's just hold on. Now that's dynamic device, right? But now if I, Okay, let me even do dynamic device. Dynamic device. Now, I want to I want to look at something, security group, M365 group, and then if another point, please, before I forget, whether it is security or whether it is M365, whether it is this, if I turn it to, if I give it a role, then it automatically become an assigned group. So at this time, you cannot make um you cannot make a group which is role enabled a dynamic group. That's important that I mention it. And again, you cannot create a dynamic device and then you are using an M365 group. I just hope that this makes sense to us. So I'm going to do a dynamic device, and for dynamic device, you're going to add query to it. I think it's Android for business, right? And that should be the name. So if you want all Android devices to be like in a group, what you do in your query is you can say OS type, right? I think Oyimafu did own you do did what's it called? Users for us, right? So I'm just going to do like OS device OS. Why am I not saying that? Object ID display this device OS type here, and then is equal to I think it's Android for business. Android for business. I hope it is like this. So if I do this, of course, it's giving me this. So the next thing I want to save, right? So, but I will know even if it's not correct. So if I come to I create, no problem. I just click on create. So from here, if I see this group, right? I call it M365. I guess that's the name I gave it. So I'm coming back to the group we just created. I think this is a group. This is it, right? No, that's not it. So let's just come back to this, all groups. Let me search for that group in the list of the groups I have. So I'm just going to call it M365. I hope that is a security group. This should be it. So now, if I want to do, dynamic membership rule, so something I missed, right, that I want us to do. I want to validate rule, right? If I want to validate, I'm adding devices because, of course, I didn't say user. Now, I have a lot of devices in my environment, but I know that probably these are Android devices. I don't know, honestly. But let me just pick as many devices as I want to pick. I just want to validate, right? I hope I'm able to pick devices that are Android devices here. So if I click on select, right? And then it's validating everything to be wrong. It is possible that my query is not correct, right? So let's see, let's look at it. Let's look at it. We check here, and it's saying that device OS type equals to Android for business. Oh, it's supposed to be Android for work, right? Not Android for business, Android for work. Maybe I like business. Configure the rule again. So I'm supposed to come here to say it is Android for work. I hope I even looked at the way it was written. Save. So let me validate my rule again. Okay, good. So now it is correct. So this is me. Of course, you can see from the name here, it's even showing Android for work, right? So it's showing that these devices are Android devices. What this means is that it is going, they are all going now into if I come to members, right, of that group. I'm not sure why. So I'll just go to search for that group again. Apologies if you see that there was a better way I could do it, but I'm just coming back here and I'm really coming to M365. I just want to check the membership of that group now. And what is even the essence of me trying to look at devices that are members, right? This is just in case I'm setting up policies. The devices are not here yet, but they are definitely going to be here, right? Over time, they'll be here. So I can use that group. I can use that group to now set some level of compliance policies from the Intune admin center and see what I'm talking about and see what I'm doing, right? So I was just trying to talk about groups, right? And I was trying to mention that we have groups, and when you create groups from the Entra admin center, it will really be it will really be what's the word, by default security group. And if you are giving the group if you are changing the group to, if it's in security group, you can make it either dynamic user group or dynamic device group. Then if you are changing the group to M365 group, you can only now have it as a dynamic user group if you want to make it dynamic. And then if you want to give a role to the group, then the group can only be assigned membership type. Okay, so deleted group behave the same way with the M365 group, I mean user group. But then take note that if you delete a group that is a security group, in short, the only group you can restore when you delete them after within 30 days is your M365 group. If you mistakenly delete a security group, you cannot restore it. It does not follow the principle of soft delete, right? So I just want to look for this M365 now. Let me see if the members are back, are already here, whether they are here or not. I want us to delete it and then we can try to see. So if you're writing MS102, this is one of the questions they will ask you. That's which group can you restore when they are deleted? It is only M365 group. So it's a very common question, which is still not here yet. But my focal point is that it's a security group. I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to take note of it, project public. Okay, project public, I hope we'll remember. So if I delete them now, right, and I refresh here, I would expect that that one is gone, project public. So if I come to deleted group, you would see really that project public is the only one I will have. I will not have the other guy here. It's even taking time to come. So the point I'm trying to quickly tell us is that what you can, so it's saying 30 days after original deletion, group are permanently deleted. So, but you should please take notes that the only type of group that you would get here is only those groups that are M365 groups. So I just want to come back. Let me be sure that that group I even deleted is not even a security group. Let me just deliberately delete an M365 group. So it's also possible that that one I deleted is an M3. So I want to delete Copilot group, which is an M365 group. I want to delete, okay, this one is an on-prem group. That's why I cannot delete. So I must mention again that this group, I can only go delete it from Entra. So let's say I want to delete a distribution list. That one's also from the, so I want to delete a security group that is no upload GRP. So if I delete it, let me not stress these points. The only group you can restore is your M365 admin. I mean your M365 groups. Security groups, nope. Tell me the other group. Distribution list, nope. Um, security group, no. So if I come to deleted users now, deleted groups now, okay. Of course, you can see the Copilot license group I deleted is here. But if you check the other ones I deleted are not coming here. It's possible that the other one I was looking for here is also a security group, and that's why it will never come here. So please take note when you are deleting groups, you should be very, very careful. So for group also has its own settings. So owner can manage group membership, all of these ones, group security, user can create security group, and just all of this setting. But one thing that is very important to mention, there are two, the naming policy and then the expiration. See, renewal notifications are enabled to group owners 30 days, 15 days, and 1 day prior to expiration. Group owner must have exchange license to receive notification. If group is not renewed, it is deleted along with associated content for sources. So people just keep creating group, right, in an organization. And if these groups, see, the number of days a group can exist before it is to be renewed. So this is just going to be sending reminder do you still need this group or do we have to delete it? Email contact for group with no owner. So if groups, for example, ownerless group, right? So ownerless group is like a group, for example, the owner was available. You can actually create a group from the M365, no, not M365 admin center, from Entra admin center without an owner. But you cannot create a group from the Microsoft 365 without an owner. So if you create your group from Entra and you forgot to add an owner to it, it's an ownerless group. So if you are setting expiration policy for group for owners to get emails to confirm if the groups are still useful or they should delete them, right? You can for those that do not have owners, you can specify email addresses of people who should get an email to request. And just in case there used to be an owner or owners of group and those people resigned and their accounts have been deleted, so those groups can be rendered ownerless as well. So once they are rendered ownerless, then what you can do is you can also send a mail maybe to general administrator to see that, or general administrators. You can actually add multiple emails here for them to know, to check if those groups are still available, I mean, still useful and should be left without deletion. So example, enable expiration for M365 groups. So this again is expiration will only be applied to M365 groups. So deleted group, M365 can be restored. So this question can come that which group can you set expiration for, right? Distribution group, security group, mail enable security group, and all of that. So Teams group, of course, Teams group are M365 groups. So you can set for them. So you can say all the groups or selected groups. It means that you will need to go add the group that you want to set expiration for, or you can say none as the case may be, right? So this is just in case the groups are just redundant, right? And then proliferating your environment, you can actually clean up like a lot. So naming policy is very, 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 very important, especially when you are maintaining a multi-tenant environment. So group naming, one thing that you want to first of all do is to block words that you don't want people to use. You can upload a list of words you wish to block to prevent M35 groups. Again, this is speaking to M35 group. Being given profane or reserved names and aliases, you may download the CSV to view or edit the existing list of block words. So like there are lists, to view the list, there are a list that Microsoft globally blocked from you using to name groups when you are creating them. And I'm sure that you are curious to look at that list, as I am also. So list, do you want to open or not? It's opening already. What's that? Blocked words. I can't find anything. Are they kidding me? So do they, maybe they just want me to add the list because I was curious to also know what's going to be on that list, right? So, but it's saying download a CSV file of blocked list, add or remove terms, 500 word character, upload a CSV. Okay, maybe you just download, just download here, put the list of the words there. But basically, what this is saying is you want to have some words like um, maybe word like terrible as the name of a group. You will know you don't want people to use that. Bandits, or you want to use Boko Haram. You don't want people to use all those kind of name for their group, or gangsters, or those kind of irritating words. Like you don't want, people can be very crazy sometimes. So especially when they are given the option to create, but you can actually decide that people should not be able to create groups in your environments. So if you want to do that, you just, there's a link who can create. So let me keep, I'll send this link to you later. So I don't want to close it. So let me add this one. Who can create M365 group? So this was very, very useful to me. Those times where I was working as support engineer. So here, so the thing is, you must know if you block who can create group, right? Because people misbehave, right? So you want to stop them from creating, but you know that it will also include group in Outlook, in SharePoint, in Viva Engage, in Microsoft Teams, in Planner, in Power BI, in Project. So the fact that you are blocking people from creating group means that they cannot create SharePoint site. But from SharePoint side, you can actually ask that people should not be able to create SharePoint site, because when you create a site again, when you create a team site, it goes to create an M365 group. Just note it. So because of that, you may want to block people from creating SharePoint site. That is fine, absolutely, from SharePoint. It will not affect any other place. But if you are doing what is in this list, manage who can create M365 group. If you do it, you block them from creating, from not from creating group in any of these. So when limited, who can create group, it affects all services that relate to group for, So there's just a script that you need to run. So you just first of all add, click on this, run the PowerShell and do all of this. Then there's this scripts that you just need to copy and just change. Just the people you are excluding, you just put them here. The group, no, the group that you're excluding will just be up here, right? And then you just put that command here. Once you copy, just copy it basically and run it. And then the output is going to be this. This guy that you are seeing here has saved a lot of lives, honestly. So I'll share it. I just want to, because I have one screen, so I'll share them once I am done. But then if you have like an organization, then you have people that are scattered around, and then you want it that, I'm not mean scattered around like scattered around. I mean, like you have people in Nigeria office, in Uganda office, in South Africa office, and so on, and you want them to be adding prefaces. So what it means is that, or maybe you want to do it per department, you want to say if it is finance that is creating a group, that should use FIN, so that when you go to look at your group, you should be able to quickly filter to know which person is having, or which department is carrying a shot. This is even like what I'm trying to say, but I'll read it so that I don't like speak off record. So the M365 groups naming policy allows you to add a preface or a suffix. So preface, of course, preface is you are writing ZAF if you are in South Africa, ZAF, then the group name, right? So if you also want to add a suffix, you can also add. Suffix is like what is written after, like, the word X communication. X is like preface, right? Then suffix comes after a word. Please let me not be teaching English. So the Microsoft 365 group naming policy allows you to add a specific prefix and or suffix to a group naming and aliases of M365 group created by users. For example, finance group, that is a group name, right? And then that is in Satu. So now if you add a preface, okay, so what do you want to put? Do you want to put attributes? And if it's attribute, what's the attribute type that you want to look at? Do you want to look at country, which is fine, like what I'm trying to make an example? So now what it means is that, so what this means is that if I'm in Nigeria, I want to create a group, then it should add my location to that group. If I want to add surface, I can do that. So, but if I want to also put departments, even if you create a team, right, it's going to apply to, it's like it's a very, very convenient thing to do. Like if you want to put departments, right? Departments, I think this is most mostly use country and department. So it's just going to pick your department and then add it to it. So if I save this, unfortunately, it will take some time before it can take effect. So, but we can try if it's going to work. So that's for naming, right? So for PIM is like much later in this schedule. So PIM is basically, because time is just flying. So PIM is basically just in time request access to resources. So instead of, since this is coming under this, but definitely this is not on that group. It was supposed to be something much later. So but let me just say something about PIM. PIM, or privilege identity management, is you setting a system where people would have to request for access when they need it, and they have to state why they need it and how long they are going to need that feature. Let's say you need a global administrator role for 3 hours, and then I can say you should have like a justification before it can be approved. I can decide to put it to be approved automatically, or that somebody must approve that you have access as exchange admin, for example, or as attack simulation administrator, as the case may be, right? So you can really do that, so that it's that kind of role is called eligible role, because you don't permanently own it, right? So that is for PIM. Then access review, because time is just flying. Access review is to actually give um, like constant checks on who has access to which resources, and see if you need it, like that expiration, for example, for groups. This is almost behaving the same, where it can send a prompt to maybe your whoever that is assigned to get the prompt, maybe your manager, but it can also be like self-review, where you have to review your access to particular resources, and if you don't need it anymore, you can say no, so that it can be revoked from you. But I was just jumping, right, because of what I see in the list of what I was talking about. So I was supposed to be in group, all groups, deleted groups, and then group settings. That was where we were. And then for devices, right? Devices is very important. So devices, there are two types of devices generally. Will I say three? Maybe like two. Devices in terms of how the devices are being enrolled into an environment. So people just sign in, right? So when you sign into an environment, your device can be joined or it can be registered. So I want to look at something real quick. So for joint and registered devices, people actually get it. Um, People actually, that this is joint type. This is what I'm looking for. People actually get it a bit hard to understand the difference between. In short, myself, I struggled to have to do some little understanding to know. You can see this Microsoft Entra joined. You can see Microsoft Entra registered. So what this basically for Microsoft Entra registered is personally owned devices, while the Microsoft Entra joined is corporate owned devices. So if you organize it, if you are joining, like you are joining to a domain, so you can join your device to Entra ID, where your organization takes charge of everything that is happening in that device. But when you register your device to an organization, then the company can only take charge of the assets that you have. I mean, the company assets in that device, and not taking charge of the entire device for you. I think where this becomes a bit clearer is from the Intune Admin Center, right? Let me just quickly hop in there and show you devices. I hope this guy is not just going to be prompting me for MFA that I don't have. I don't have access to do some things now. Will you just respect yourself and just come on and land me to where I want to go to? What is this again? Okay, I think that's what setting I just did. That is coming here to check me that unfortunately I've clicked already, but it was just trying to ask me if the information that I have there is up to date, right? So that's validating my, what's it called? My I think that setting was done from SSPR. But coming to devices, those same devices that you have there in the M35 admin center, the ones that are registered, right, or joined, enrolled to Intune, you still have them here. But the point I'm trying to raise is that the devices that the joint type is registered, you will see them as personal devices, right? Why, if you have joint devices, right, there will be corporate devices. So for corporate devices, the organization has like a full control of those devices. Why personal devices, there is going to be like, especially if it is phone, right? If it is phone, for example, through the company portal, you will have like two demarcations in your phone to really show you that this part is for you and this part is for your organization. And your organization can really do like the part of the data that is there to say you should not be able to copy data from the corporate part of your device to your personal parts. And it can even say it want to disable screenshots, and it want to disable copy and paste and all of those based on the company data there. And they can actually, now this is a device that is personally owned, personally owned, but because it is enrolled here, right, then I can really do like I can really come here to do like sync the device. I can decide to, so this is just take note of this. I want to look at something. I want to take note of something for the corporate device, right? For the corporate device, let me come here quickly and just look at something. I can do wipe, right? And then I can sync the device, right? I can like do a lot regarding the device, but this is outside of our scope so that I don't stress things too much and then just waste time. So but basically all the devices, even when you sign into a device, they are registered by default, are registered here. The fact that you just pick your laptop and sign into the web, and you are signing into my tenants, I'll be able to track the device that I'll be able to know the device that you are signing. I think that's the right word. I'll be able to know the device you are signing. I guess this 104 VM is just a virtual machine in the cloud that I signed into it. And then this is the detail. Yeah, I think the difference between the registered devices at this point is that I can't manage this device, but I will have all the details required from the Entra admin center here, but I can't do anything. It's telling me is yes, this one is this. I can decide to remove the device or disable it from having access to anything within my tenant. I can do that. But if I come to a corporate owned device, I don't know which one I can quickly lay my hands on now. Mm, okay, I think I will know now. Entra joined. What is this one? This is Intune 3. So this is the machine that I created. So from here, I can't do anything also, right? But I can manage it in Intune. If I go to Intune and I go to Intune 3, this is the device. I can really manage some of the properties here, but this you can see, you can delete, you can wipe, you can retire the device, you can sync if there are changes, you can even remotely restart the device, right? You can like do a lot, full scan of that device, you can update, you can rotate, you can um BitLocker key rotation, you can do like a lot, right? You can even run remediation on it. And then this is one thing that is very, very sweet for me, to remote wipe the device just in case the device is stolen. So when somebody steals a device, two things are in his mind. One is trying to break into the device to have access to the data that is inside it, or is trying to just wipe the device. I mean, reformat the device and have it for himself and use. Right? He doesn't even need access to your your files inside. But this remote wipe is very, very important if you have your device stolen and the intention of the thief is to have access to the data that you have inside. So once you initiate this remote wipe, the office data in that device, everything is gone. So that is for devices that we are here. We're looking at all devices. So um, you can look at enterprise state roaming, BitLocker, and all of those like a bit more advanced for us at this stage. So yes, we also look at applications also. So there was just a bit of thing that I would say that confuses me. Let me not say people, because it's something that if you look at these all applications, so you also see I'm just trying to look for something. Um, if I come under enterprise app registration, right? If I come to all applications now, you will see that I only have these few. Yes, this is the point I'm trying to raise. I only have these few. I put locals here. I'm the one that did all of this. So they are just demo apps, right? But if you look at apps and I'm on all apps, I'm seeing these few. But if I come to enterprise applications, I'm seeing like a lot of application. I'm seeing ShareGate, locals, and all of that, right? So the point is that for the how do I put it, for the applications that you see here under all applications are the applications that are unique, like to my tenants, right? Agents, Microsoft 365 Copilot Studio, Copilots, all of these are my own innovation support. I'm a person that can see, know about Joseph Afeso. So these are my own application, but the enterprise applications are actually like standard applications that people use. You can see them, Google, You can see locals, Windows. These are like central applications that are available for people to use. But I can also now add, if I have custom applications that I have built in my environment, I can actually add them from this app registration part. But for this part, if you follow through the enterprise application to create an application, you have like a long list of applications, like the app gallery, where you can decide to pull in applications that you want your users to make use of. But if I come to app registration here, and then I am here to click on this, you will see that it is not the same experience with going to enterprise app to add. Enterprise app to add is going into like the real publish or third-party applications. But if I come to app registration here and I go to add app, I'm going to be adding an application that probably I have created. It could be a web app, so I can decide to put the means of the app, put the URL, and then register the application and set all the configurations that are required. So this is where you can onboard your custom application, like an application. I can just do localhost, right? Localhost. So I'll have to do https colon double forward slash localhost. Just create the detail. This is just a friendly name. This is not like one big thing. You know, the work is going to be done here for those who are developers. So I may just call this one M365, right? And I will just do, I want to register this application here. So if I do, I will just have to follow through with all the configurations of these applications, talking about like the details around the authentication method, the branding property, the secrets, the token, and then the API permissions, the owner of the application, if I want to, roles and management and all of that. So this is for you. This is the app already. It's coming up this way, right? You can see the symbol. I can decide to change the display. There are a lot of things we can do, right? Then when it comes to branding and properties, so you can really come to pick up like pictures from the app logo from your environment. I'm not even sure if I have pictures there because I'm running short of memory. So I actually deleted a lot of things. So you can actually bring up like stuffs. I think, yeah, to just display that and then upload new logo. You can the home page. You can, when you are done, internal notes. You can even put an internal note, and then once you've done all of that, you can save. Then if you come to the authentication methods, you can as well configure the authentication method. These are applications that you have developed in your environment and you want to make them available. Depends on how you actually want to do it. Then the secrets and the certificates, you can also create them. Then the API calls and API permissions and all of. Also, developers, I'm sure that you will know this more, so you can actually onboard your personal devices. So, but for enterprise devices, so this is the point I was trying to raise. But if you go to a new device or new application, right, rather, you will see when you bring up application and that. So protection, we have like less than 5 minutes. For protection, identity protection, we actually had jumped into this place. And I think two things that you must know is here quickly is the difference between user risk and sign-in risk policy. So user risk policy is that likelihood that it is not the user that is signing in, right? So if you come here, user risk policy, um, user risk policy is the likelihood that, so I'll just quickly do something because my head too is also getting tired. Difference between user risk and sign-in risk. So this will help us. So intra user risk and sign-in risk cover different aspects of this. So intra user risk cover the user's identity, behavior, exposure, and access, while intra sign-in covers the user credential compromise. So if you are talking about sign-in risk, is like this user's credentials have been compromised. So by signing risks that we are suspecting you're signing. So For example, if you are talking about things around impossible travel, right? So you are signing in from Nigeria at this minute, and you are signing in the US in the next minute. It is possible via VPN, but of course, you need to prove that it is you, and then you'll be challenged for MFA, right? So, but the likelihood that your credentials are compromised, then you'll be stopped from signing in at all. So, but these are better done with conditional access policy. So, if you come to signing risk policy, policy name, signing risk remedy, and then require multi-factor authentication, and then user risk policy. So, if you come to multi-factor authentication registration, which is part of those things that we dwelt on yesterday, right? So this is still fresh. It's disabled now, but I can enable it, right? So but it is better to handle this stuff using conditional access policy, or what is called CAP for shorts. So risky users. So this report is very important. So I'm saying this because security guys that are in our midst, you will always be looking out for this. This account, right? Frank is compromised. The system has identified that it is compromised. The account status is blocked. And the reason why this account is blocked is that there was a user risk, right? Right. So now recent risky signings, user can have direct on signing that are currently not supported in this. So that are currently not supported in the signing report, such signing risk. So this is when this user is in this state. I must tell you something, that if he's invited to an organization, now if Frank is invited to an organization to join as a guest, he will not be able to accept that guest invitation. I'm telling you from experience. Now, the reason is that it will just I can't remember the exact message, but you can't accept invitation from external organization because the account has been compromised. And the error from the declination of accepting guest access or guest request will not be plain to let you know that it is because the account is showing that it has been blocked because of user risk policy, right? But if you are careful to know, you have to come here. If you confirm that user account has been compromised, the user will remain blocked. If you just say no, it was maybe a false positive, it will still ask you. This confirms to Microsoft that the selected user is not at risk, so you don't need to block him. So for signing risks, like the account has been compromised and the user must be blocked. So for user risk, is that, I mean, for sign user risk is block. Signing risks is that, okay, prove yourself again by second layer of security. Now, if you feel that it is okay, you can click on yes, right? But this is saying at the deletion, at the detection in the last 90 days, please go to risk history. So by me, I'm just fine. I will just say the guy is not at risk. At this point, that invitation I was talking about, the guy will be able to redeem the invitation for guests. So the way these things are interwoven, sometimes honestly, and it can be very, very, so risk detection also, you can try to look at if there's any issue about risks that has been identified, also you can use our at risk um deleted alerts, so you can see them here. So Entra, we have dealt a lot with it. So the other parts, you can just check them out. Identity governance actually a very big part also. So but the thing is, I will just round off by saying that what I see, I remember. What I hear, rather, I'll forget. What I see, I will remember. But what I do, I know. So please go and practice. Build yourself by practicing what you have on the screen. Nothing will actually spoil. You can just touch it. If you make mistake, the highest that can happen is you lock yourself